Exposed, she arrived in rags for a blind date, but the CEO discovered an incredible heart. Emily stood before her mirror, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. The fabric of her worn shirt was faded, the kind that had soaked up her countless late-night shifts, and her jeans were frayed at the edges. Yet behind her tired eyes burned a fierce determination to provide for her spirited daughter, Lily. Even though she loathed the idea of a blind date, her best friend had insisted, "You deserve a night out," they said. But as she buttoned her last remaining hope, a cheerful, coupon-cutter smile, anxiety clawed at her insides. Little did she know, around the same time, Jake adjusted his tailored suit, an emblem of his family's wealth and expectations. As the 35-year-old CEO of a tech company that was rapidly changing the town's landscape, he had it all, or so it seemed. But beneath that polished exterior was a man wrestling with the fear of never measuring up to the legacy of success that surrounded him. When he entered the upscale restaurant, he was taken aback by the sight of Emily. Something about her presence in that polished environment stirred his curiosity. She looked out of place but exuded warmth that seemed to counterbalance the cold steel of privilege. He found himself drawn to her weary but vibrant spirit, a contrast to the snarky remarks that his peers exchanged over their cocktails. As they settled into their conversation, Emily's tireless spirit shined through. She spoke passionately about Lily and her journey as a single mother, the endless late-night shifts at the diner and the grocery store where she fought to provide a better life for her little girl. Her laughter was infectious, and with each story she shared about their life tangled in the hustle and bustle of their busy town, Jake felt a bond form. He revealed his own struggles beneath the pressures of corporate expectations, their conversations transforming from trivial small talk to something much deeper. Just then, Emily's phone buzzed violently against the table, cutting through their intimate moment. Her heart dropped as she read the frantic message from Lily's school: "Emergency situation, pickup required immediately." Cold panic surged through her as she remembered the rent due next week and the bills piling up like mountains. She hastily excused herself, feeling the weight of her world crashing back as she gathered her things. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Jake stood frozen, torn between the wedge created by whispers from his friends and an undeniable connection that had ignited in mere moments. As Emily raced out, panic etched on her face, he felt an urgency pull him forward. He turned his back on the judgmental stares and followed her into the chaos of the night. Arriving at the school, he watched as Emily navigated the emotional storm, her protective instinct soaring to new heights. In that moment, the veil of wealth lifted, exposing the labyrinth of struggles and sacrifices that colored her reality. He understood, perhaps for the first time, what truly mattered: love, resilience, and the invisible bond that connects hearts across socio-economic divides. With a newfound sense of purpose, Jake stepped forward to stand by Emily as she faced her reality, whispering a promise that this might be just the beginning of something extraordinary. Behind him, the murmurs of disbelief from his peers faded into silence, replaced by the heartwarming notion that sometimes, you have to break away from everything you know to discover who you truly are. Would they be brave enough to rise together against the heavy weight of prejudice? The night was charged with questions that lingered, trembling in the air as they stood side by side, ready to face whatever came next. Emily's heart raced as she darted toward the school entrance, her breath coming in quick bursts. The night air felt sharp against her face, but with each step, the weight of anxiety began to lift, if only slightly. She thought of Lily, alone and scared, and her sole focus was on reaching her daughter. Each footfall echoed her mounting fears. What had happened at the school? Jake followed closely behind, a silent shadow amid the chaos. He glimpsed the worry etched on Emily's face, and it tugged at something deep within him. This was no superficial date, the urgency in Emily's movement stirred a desire to support her, to stand beside her. As they approached the school's front desk, he took a deep breath, reminding himself that it was okay to step outside his meticulously crafted world, to embrace the unknown. The school staff was already buzzing with concerned parents, each one desperate to find their child. Emily managed to push her way through, vision blurring with the thought of Lily. The sight of children's small faces, some tear-streaked, sent an electric shock of fear through her. "Emily!" A familiar voice called out, cutting through the noise. It was Mrs. Thompson, Lily's teacher. Her normally comforting presence felt grounding, like an anchor in a storm. Mrs. Thompson approached her, a mix of concern and relief on her face. "Lily got a little upset after a fire drill. It startled her, but she's okay now. We've called everyone, and she's safe in the classroom." Emily could have collapsed with relief. A rush of gratitude washed over her, and she turned to Jake, who stood nearby, his eyes filled with tenderness. He smiled faintly, sharing in her relief, and in that moment, Emily realized just how much she needed support. "Thank you so much," she murmured to Mrs. Thompson, her voice heavy with emotion. "I can't tell you how much this means to me." Jake took a step closer, sensing the shifting tide of emotions. "Do you want me to wait with you?" he asked, his tone calm and steady among the frantic murmurs. "Maybe if you could," Emily replied, hesitating. This unexpected help from him flooded her with warmth, yet it sent her heart racing with uncertainty. She didn't want to lean on him, she had never relied on anyone before. "You don't have to do this alone," Jake said gently, his expression sincere. "I'm here. We're in this together." As they waited, their hands brushed against one another, igniting a spark that was difficult to ignore. A nervous energy began to circulate between them, and it was a mixture of vulnerability and strength, a testament to the connection they had forged. Finally, the door swung open, and there stood Lily, her big brown eyes welling with tears. They were filled with both fear and relief as she scanned the room for her mother. When she finally spotted Emily, it was as if the world realigned. "Mama!" Lily cried, running into Emily's arms. Emily enveloped her in a tight embrace, relief flooding over her like a wave. All the stress and weight of the world seemed to evaporate in that one moment. Jake stepped back, giving them space. But he felt a new longing to be included in their world. The simple act of witnessing their reunion felt monumental. He found solace in the authenticity of their bond, realizing how much he craved that connection himself. "Let us get some ice cream to celebrate your bravery," Emily said, brushing the hair back from Lily's tear-stained face. "Can we, Mama? Please?" Lily looked up with those big, pleading eyes. As they walked out together, hand in hand, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were shifting like the desert sands. A thread had been woven between them, delicate yet strong, and he was determined to nurture it. What lay ahead for all three of them remained a mystery. But in that moment, possibilities stretched before them, waiting to be explored. Just then, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, a reminder of the realities he was trying to escape from. As he glanced at it, he felt a pull, knowing that decisions made now would echo for long after the night was over. Would he embrace the risk of stepping fully into Emily's world? With uncertainty trailing behind him, Jake looked into Emily's eyes, searching for clarity, but found only affection and a flicker of hope. And somewhere deep within him, he wondered if this journey they were just beginning would encompass more than he had ever dreamed. The ice cream shop was a splash of color and laughter. Children ran around, their giggles floating on the warm evening air. Emily's heart felt lighter as they stepped inside, the familiar scent of waffle cones wafting around them. She glanced down at Lily, who was already scanning the menu with wide, bright eyes. "Can I have the rainbow scoop?" Lily asked, pointing at the most extravagant option. "Of course, sweet girl," Emily smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude and love. She turned to Jake, who was leaning casually against the counter, his expression slightly awestruck as he watched them. "What do you want?" Jake pondered for a moment, then shrugged. You know what? I'll just go with the chocolate. You can't go wrong with a classic. True, Emily chuckled, delighted by how easy and comfortable it felt to share this small moment with him. While they waited for their orders, an unexpected warmth settled around them, thick and rich like the chocolate melting in Jake's cup. Emily stole a glance at him, wondering how long it had been since she felt so relaxed with someone. It felt strange yet reassuring, as if they were sharing an unspoken bond that was only beginning to flourish. Is this what you do on your dates? Lily asked innocently, her eyes now sparkling. Jake stammered before laughing. This isn't a date, kiddo. I'm just being a nice guy helping your mom out. Nice guys can be dates, too. Lily declared, her voice unwavering, making Emily choke on her laughter. Touché, Jake replied, his expression both amused and flattered. Moments like these reminded Emily of the beauty and vulnerability, especially in front of children who saw the world through open eyes. Yet, as she savored the joy of the moment, a shadow lurked in her mind. Navigating her feelings for Jake was like walking a tightrope. One misstep could plunge her into uncertainty. After they received their ice creams, the three of them moved outside, settling on a picnic table under the soft glow of vintage string lights. Emily watched the way Jake scooped his ice cream, a mix of finesse and awkwardness that made her smile. This is really good, he admitted, licking the edge of his cone with a hint of childlike glee. It's even better when you share it with friends, Lily chimed in, her cheeks smeared with rainbow sprinkles. Exactly, Emily nodded, feeling the warmth of their budding friendship. But just as they were starting to relax, Jake's phone buzzed again, pulling him back into his reality. He glanced at the screen, his brows furrowing with concern. Emily noticed the change instantly. Everything okay? Yeah, he muttered, his voice distant. He looked torn, caught between this moment and whatever awaited him on the other side of that screen. Emily felt a pang of anxiety. She didn't want to lose the connection they were slowly building. Hey, if you need to take it, go ahead. We can handle this, Emily encouraged, trying to hide the unease nesting in her gut. No, it's fine, he replied quickly, but she saw the flicker of hesitation in his eyes. Just work stuff. What's work stuff? Lily asked eagerly, her curiosity piquing. Jake sighed, glancing around as if searching for a way to deflect her question. He finally settled on a half-smile. Just boring adult things. You wouldn't want to hear about them. Maybe not, but you should take care of it, Emily insisted, feeling the weight of his unvoiced burdens pressing down on him. We'll be right here. As Jake deliberated, caught between their small world and whatever realities awaited him, Emily's heart raced. Could she really allow this unexpected, fragile connection to grow, knowing it might shatter under the pressures of his life? And just as she was about to say more, Lily squealed, Look! There's the ice cream truck. She pointed across the street, excitement bubbling over. Jake turned to Emily, eyes tinged with urgency. Can I? He asked, darting his gaze toward the truck and then back at her. Go ahead, Emily encouraged with a small smile, feeling that strange mixture of fear and exhilaration. As he walked away, leaving Emily and Lily to share the sweetness of their ice cream and laughter, she felt the pull of uncertainty flood back into her heart. Would he come back? Would their night end on this high note, or would the weight of reality pull him back into the depths? In a world so pressing and loud, it was these quiet, tender moments that drew her in. But as the ice cream truck faded into the night, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were all teetering on the edge of something far greater than just a simple outing. What would happen next? Would Jake find his way back, and if he did, would things ever be the same? As Jake walked toward the ice cream truck, Emily's heart raced a little faster. The way he moved, a mix of eagerness and hesitation, sparked her worry. Would he actually choose to buy a little more sweetness, or would he be lost in conversations, caught up in deadlines that seemed to weigh heavier than soft serve on a cone? Mom, do you think Jake likes you? Lily asked, her eyes wide with mischievous curiosity. Emily felt her cheeks flush. "What kind of question is that?" She laughed, trying to keep her tone light. Lily shrugged, grinning from ear to ear. "Just asking. You guys seem to have fun together." Emily's chest tightened, a sudden mixture of warmth and panic flooding her. Fun. That was the key word, wasn't it? But fun didn't necessarily translate into anything deeper, did it? Guilt flickered through her. Jake was still a stranger of sorts, no matter how comfortable the easy banter made her feel. "He's just a nice friend," Emily replied, hoping to ward off Lily's persistent curiosity. But deep down, she couldn't lie to herself. The chemistry between them was undeniable, a bittersweet realization that thrummed beneath her skin. Lily peered thoughtfully at Emily. "I think he likes you. You look happy when you're with him." Emily pondered her daughter's words. Had her feelings seeped through the cracks where she tried to seal them? Would that be fair to Jake, especially if he had a life waiting for him on the other side of those buzzing notifications? Just then, a flash of color pulled Emily's distraction back to the street. Jake was at the ice cream truck, animatedly chatting with the vendor. Her heart fluttered at the sight of him leaning slightly forward, hands moving to emphasize his words, a man truly in his element. Suddenly, Lily nudged her, breaking into Emily's thoughts. "Look. I think he's coming back." Jake strolled toward them, his expression brighter than before, holding two wobbly cups, one chocolate and one bright blue, topped with a cherry. The air was sweetening, not just from the ice cream but from Jake's energy too. "Guess what?" he said, excitement radiating from him. "I got us all something special." Lily bounced on her feet, eyes sparkling. "Wow, thanks, Jake." As he settled down on the bench next to Emily, she saw the momentary rush of joy in his eyes. Her heart warmed in return. "Alright, so what's the secret surprise?" she teased, smiling, all doubt sliding to the background for now. "Behold," he declared dramatically, revealing his colorful scoop. "The ultimate ice cream experience." They both laughed, capturing the innocence of the moment before she felt the little thread of doubt creep back in. This was too easy, too right. There had to be a twist waiting for them. "Mom, let's take a picture," Lily suggested, already pulling out her little camera. "This is a moment we need to remember." "Good idea, sweetheart," Emily agreed, trying to shake off the sense of impending reality. As they posed together, the laughter spilling around them, Emily stole a glance at Jake. He caught her eye, a fleeting moment where the world outside faded, and it was just them. The warmth of connection danced between them, bright and undeniable. But the question lingered, how long could they hold on to this bubble of joy before reality barged in? Lily snapped the picture, capturing a smile Emily hoped would last forever. Yet something told her it wouldn't stay uncomplicated. After snapping a few more unplanned shots, Lily suddenly turned serious. "What's wrong, Mom?" Emily hesitated, swallowing hard. "Nothing, sweetie. Just life stuff." "Yeah, adult things," Jake added lightly, masking his own unease with a grin, but the weight of his words drifted heavy in the air. As they finished their ice creams, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this blissful moment was merely the calm before a storm. What awaited them when they left this whimsical oasis? Would Jake's burdens catch up to them, or would they find a way to bridge this fragile connection? The wind picked up, stirring the leaves above. It was a flicker of what was to come, and with it came the tightening in her chest again. Just then, the familiar buzz of Jake's phone broke the tranquility, pulling them reluctantly back toward the harsh clamor of reality. His expression changed, momentarily clouding over as he glanced at the screen, and Emily's heart sank. "Sorry, I need to take this," he murmured, already stepping away. Watching him walk off, the distance between them felt like a chasm widening, revealing the fears she had tried to ignore. Would he be gone long enough for the night to snuff out the connection they had just begun to kindle? Emily turned to Lily, who was busy licking the last remnants of her scoop. "Do you think he'll come back?" With innocent certainty, Lily said, "I think he will. Nice guys always come back." Emily smiled faintly, uncertainty lingering in her heart. Just as the clouds of doubt began to gather above them, she could only hope that the clouds wouldn't linger long enough to rain on a night filled with luminous possibilities. But a voice stirred in the pit of her stomach, whispering that the real test of whatever they were building was yet to come. What if Jake didn't return, and they were left wondering what could have been? Minutes felt like hours as Emily watched Jake walk away, the soft glow of the street lamp casting shadows over the path he took. She could see him through the trees, standing a little apart, phone pressed to his ear. A knot twisted in her stomach. What was he dealing with? The connection they had just shared felt so fragile now, like the delicate ice cream cone melting away in Lily's small hands. "Mom, can we take more pictures?" Lily asked, oblivious to the quiet storm brewing in Emily's heart. "Sure, sweetheart," Emily replied, forcing a smile as she grabbed the camera. "Let us have fun." She snapped a few shots of Lily posing with her sugary treat, one where she pulled a funny face, another where she tried to show off her ice cream mustache. The laughter felt good, temporarily blocking the shadows creeping into Emily's mind. Just as she clicked another picture, she caught sight of Jake returning, phone put away, but his expression remained serious. "Everything okay?" she asked, more anxious than she meant to sound. Jake hesitated, glancing between Emily and Lily. "Yeah, just a little work stuff. Sorry about that." Emily nodded but sensed that it wasn't just work. She could read the tension in his jaw, the way his eyes darted, as if looking for a lifeline. The carefree essence of the moment tinged with uncertainty. His burdens were not far behind. Lily, unbothered by adult worries, bounded over to Jake, her energy infectious. "Look at my ice cream masterpieces!" she exclaimed, beaming up at him. Jake crouched down, engaging in the game wholeheartedly. "Wow! That blue one looks legendary." He leaned closer, playfully examining the confection as if it were a work of art. Emily watched them, her heart softening. In these simple moments, things felt right. But the stillness didn't last. Jake's thumb brushed against the edge of his phone, and his gaze slipped back toward the screen, briefly forgotten in Lily's joy. The tinge of vulnerability in Emily resurfaced. What if work, life, or something even more complicated stood between them? "Want to grab a quick walk before it gets too dark?" Jake suggested, as he straightened up, a hint of hopeful distraction in his tone. "Sure," Lily chirped, clapping her hands together. Emily agreed, though her stomach twisted with mixed emotions. They walked in a loose formation, Lily leading the way, her laughter bouncing off the buildings, while Emily and Jake fell into step beside each other, the air heavy with unspoken words. "Lily's great, isn't she?" Jake remarked, glancing at her with warmth that radiated through the damp evening air. "She is," Emily replied, feeling a rush of affection for both of them. "She keeps me grounded." "Yeah, kids have that gift," he said, then fell silent, the hint of concern creeping back into his expression. Emily turned to him, the streetlights casting a soft glow over his features. "You okay? Honestly?" "I'm just juggling a lot," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm trying to be here, in this moment, but it's complicated." The vulnerability of his admission struck her. She understood complicated. Life had tossed her a handful of challenges lately too. But just as she opened her mouth to respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket, the bright screen feeling intrusive in the quiet moment they shared. "Do you need to get it?" Jake asked, glancing down at her phone. "No, it can wait," she replied, though her heart sank a little. It could be something urgent, another call to duty that would pull her away from this moment, from him. But she shook her head, forcing her heart to let go of doubt. "Let us just enjoy the night." The air grew chillier, and an uncertain silence settled around them again. Could they really step into something deeper, or were they just lost in their worries, trying to hold on to a fleeting moment? As they neared the park, Emily noticed a figure sitting on a bench, back toward them. It looked like familiar trouble, to her ex, Tim. Just as he turned around, Jake's hand brushed against hers, sending a thrill through her. In that split second, the world seemed to freeze. Everything became a tangle of options. The familiar turbulence of her past collided with the promise of a budding connection. Emily hesitated, the weight of her decision pressing down on her, knowing that choices were moments that could change everything, but would they risk what they were beginning together for a past that might still haunt her? "Who is that?" Jake asked, confusion etching his tone. And as if the night had just cast its inevitable spell upon them, she felt her heart race again, this time not just with hopes, but with the distinct realization that the moment of truth was upon her, one that would reshape all their lives. Emily's mind raced as she faced Jake's question, the words hanging heavy in the still night air. She had wanted to keep her past away from this moment, something sacred and innocent, but there it was Tim. Her ex-restlessness bubbled inside her as memories flashed through her mind. That's Tim, she finally managed to say, feeling the weight of admission settle like a lead blanket. Jake's brows knitted together. "Your ex?" "Yeah," Emily said, her voice low, unsure if she wanted to invite any further questions. Lily, oblivious to the tension, continued to skip ahead, examining the flowers that dotted the path, her laugh still brightening the cool air. Emily caught sight of Tim standing, his hands stuffed deep in his pockets, looking lost and out of place, like a ghost in an unfamiliar realm. "So, what is he doing here?" Jake's tone remained steady, but the sharpness in his eyes told her this was not just idle curiosity. "I'm not sure," Emily replied, her pulse quickening. "I haven't spoken to him in months." Jake studied her, a mix of concern and skepticism coursing through his expression as they neared the bench. "You okay with this?" Emily took a breath, grappling with her confusion. She didn't want to drag Jake into the mess of her previous life but found herself entangled in it anyway. "I'm just surprised. Do you want me to stay?" Jake asked, shifting closer as if offering his support against the world. "No," she said quickly, then added softly, I don't know. Let's just go say hi." As they approached Tim, Lily suddenly turned, eyes wide with curiosity. "Mom, who is that?" "Just someone from my past, baby," Emily replied, but her throat tightened. Tim looked up just as they reached the bench, and she couldn't help but notice the way his features flickered from shock to something like regret. "Emily," he said, his voice like a distant echo. "It's been a while." "Yeah, it has," she responded, feeling the tension coiling in her stomach. Jake introduced himself, his tone polite but guarded. "Nice to meet you. Emily and I were just out for a walk." Tim's gaze shifted from Emily to Jake, assessing, judging. "I see. Nice to meet you too." The way he said it dripped with disbelief, as if he could hardly comprehend this new dynamic. Emily felt the sharpness in the air, like static before a storm. "What are you doing here?" she asked, each word carefully measured, desperately searching for any reason that could validate this encounter. "I was just passing through," Tim replied, his tone a shade too casual. "Thought I'd sit for a minute." Emily fought the urge to roll her eyes. Just passing through? How cliché. She could sense Jake's discomfort, the way his body tensed beside her. "Okay, well, we were just heading back," she said, her voice firm. "It was nice seeing you." Emily turned, glancing at Jake, who still watched the exchange with a furrowed brow. "Let us go," she said softly, hoping he could feel the need to move forward, away from this moment tainted with memories that no longer defined her. As they started to walk away, Emily felt a lightness of spirit returning, though uncertainty bubbled beneath. Would Tim just fade out of her life for good? Or was this the start of something complicated? "Are you all right?" Jake asked, his voice low enough for only her to hear. Yeah, she replied, though the word felt empty. It's complicated. Silence enveloped them as Lily chattered away, blissfully ignorant of the emotional minefield unfolding around her. But the air between Emily and Jake felt charged, like a fault line trembling before a quake. Days later, she would replay this moment and realize how it had changed everything. So, what's next? Jake asked, breaking the tension as they emerged from the shadows of the park, catching the vibrant evening light. Emily paused, her heart racing. She wanted to trust him, to believe in what was blossoming between them. Yet, doubt lingered. Would the ghosts of her past continue to haunt her, or could she finally move forward? Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket again. This time, she didn't ignore it. I should check this, she murmured, pulling it out. The name on the screen made her pulse quicken. It was a message from Tim. And as she read the words, dread settled in the pit of her stomach. The night felt darker than before, and she knew things were about to get even more complicated. What could he possibly want now? Would it entangle her more deeply into her past, or would it shatter the fragile hope she had for her future with Jake? Emily stared at her phone, her heart pounding in her chest as Tim's message blinked on the screen. Can we talk? I'm in town, it read, simple yet loaded with implication. Her mind raced again, flipping through thoughts like the pages of an old photo album. What did he want? So, what did it say? Jake asked, leaning in slightly. His concern was palpable, breaking the bubble of silence that had enveloped them. It's Tim, she said, her words feeling heavy on her tongue. He wants to talk. Jake's brows furrowed deeper. What's the plan? Are you going to meet him? Emily felt a wave of tension wash over her. I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know he was back in town. Do you want to talk to him? His voice was steady, encouraging but cautious. She wanted to respond with a clear no, to assert that she had moved on, that she had a life here with Jake and Lily. Yet the truth pulsed through her, a knot of unresolved feelings that twisted in her gut. I don't think so, she replied, but doubt laced her words. How easily could she forget the man she once loved, the one who had partially shaped who she was today? Before Jake could ask more, Lily bounded back toward them, her smile bright and her hair tousled by the wind. Mom! Can we go get ice cream now? Sure, sweetheart, Emily said, forcing a smile, but her thoughts were elsewhere. The innocence of her daughter's excitement felt like a warm embrace amidst the storm brewing inside her. As they walked toward the ice cream stand, Jake stayed close, his presence both a comfort and a challenge. Look, Emily, he said quietly, you don't have to rush into anything with him. Just remember, you've got something good here now. Yeah, she whispered, but her heart ached with uncertainty. The ice cream shop buzzed with laughter and the clatter of cones against counters. Emily watched Lily as she chose her favorite flavor, her tiny hands gripping the scoop like it was the greatest treasure in the world. The innocence of it all was refreshing, a stark contrast to the emotional turmoil Emily felt inside. Just a scoop of chocolate, please. Lily chirped to the attendant, twirling around with joy. Jake turned back to Emily, his expression softening. You know, no matter what, I'm here. We're building something special. His words ignited a warm light in her heart, pushing back some of the darkness looming around Tim's return. But doubt gnawed at her still. I know it's just hard to push him out of my mind, you know. I get that, Jake replied, leaning close. You have to let it go at your own pace. Just be honest with yourself. She nodded, but as each moment passed, Tim's request loomed larger. They wrapped up their ice cream, laughter and happiness filling the small space around them, but Emily felt detached. Each laugh from Lily felt like a reminder of what she had to lose if she opened that door to Tim again. What would happen to this fragile life she was crafting? That night, Emily lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the messages still flashing in her mind. Tim's words pulled her under. She felt caught between the past and the future, the present slipping through her fingers like sand. That message shouldn't have mattered, yet it did. Then her phone buzzed again. It startled her heart. Gripping the bedside table, she leaned over to grab it. The screen illuminated a new message from Tim: "Please, let us meet. I need to explain." The weight of his words pressed down, turning her insides. She turned to Jake, asleep beside her. It felt unfair to drag him into this storm one more time. But a tug in her heart urged her to respond, to see what lay beneath his plea. With trembling hands and a deep breath, she started typing back. "Okay, when and where?" As she pressed send, uncertainty flooded through her. What had she just done? Was she walking into a trap or simply seeking closure? Tomorrow would bring a confrontation she hadn't anticipated, turning the past and future into a whirlpool around her. As she closed her eyes, questions flooded her mind. Were any of them ready for the truth? Would meeting Tim bring clarity or chaos? She felt the chill of possibility, knowing all too well that sometimes the most complicated choices had the most unpredictable outcomes. And as she drifted off to sleep, she couldn't help but wonder if she was truly ready for whatever lay ahead. What would that conversation with Tim reveal, and would it change everything? Emily woke up to the sunlight streaming through her window, casting golden rays across her room. The chirping of birds outside felt like a light-hearted contrast to the heaviness in her heart. The reality of her decision settled upon her, and she wondered how a simple text could turn her world upside down. Jake was already up, bustling around the kitchen. The smell of coffee filled the air, and as soon as Emily walked in, he flashed her a smile. It warmed her, yet it also made her feel a pang of guilt. How could she possibly explain last night's conversation to him? "Sleep okay?" he asked, pouring her a cup. "Not really," she admitted, taking the cup but barely tasting its warmth. "Want to talk about it?" Jake looked at her, his eyes full of concern. She hesitated, torn between wanting to reveal the turmoil within her and not wanting to scratch at the surface of their happiness. "It's just I think I'm meeting Tim today." The silence hung between them. Jake's expression shifted, concern giving way to something else, perhaps disbelief. "Tim? The Tim?" he finally asked, disbelief laced through his words. "Yeah." He asked to talk, and I agreed. A knot twisted in her stomach. You don't have to do this. I know we've been drifting a little, but I actually thought we were getting somewhere." "You were happy," Jake said, his voice soft but firm. "I am happy, but it's complicated." "I thought I could finally put things to rest," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Or stir up a lot of unresolved feelings." The tension in the room thickened. Regret flickered in Emily's mind, but she pushed it aside. "I'll be careful, I promise." Lily came rushing into the kitchen, her face lighting up when she saw Jake. "Daddy! Can we have pancakes today?" she squealed. Jake knelt to her height, a smile breaking across his face. "Of course, pumpkin. You want chocolate chips too?" Emily watched them interact, a warmth spreading through her chest. Moments like these reminded her of the stability and joy she was building. Yet, in the same breath, her mind echoed with Tim's message wanting to rewrite her story. After breakfast, Emily couldn't shake off the feeling of impending confrontation. She texted Tim to confirm their meeting at a nearby park, a place where once they shared laughter and dreams. A part of her felt a longing for that simplicity, though it felt like a distant memory. The clock seemed to move in slow motion as she prepared herself for the day. She knew this meeting could reopen old wounds, but the other half of her craved closure. Standing before the mirror, she took a deep breath. She was a mother, a woman in control of her life. She could handle whatever came her way. Even if it meant facing the specter of her past. When the time finally came, she drove to the park with a mixture of dread and hope. The trees loomed overhead, their leaves brushing against the blue sky. As she parked, every nerve in her body sparked, but a sense of determination pushed her forward. Tim was already there, sitting on a bench, looking like a page from another chapter of her life. He seemed older but still had that boyish charm that once stole her heart. As she approached, he turned to her, and for a brief moment, time stood still. "Emily," he said, a mixture of relief and apprehension in his voice. "Tim," she replied softly, her heart racing faster than she anticipated. Now, they were both on the brink of a conversation that could unravel everything. What truths lay beneath the surface, and would they bring the clarity Emily sought, or would they plunge her deeper into chaos? As Tim opened his mouth to speak, Emily could feel the weight of the past crashing down around them, ready to reshape their futures, their lives. Would she find healing or heartache? As the first words escaped his lips, Emily braced herself for whatever storm was about to unfold. What would he reveal that she didn't already know? Tim shifted on the bench, the sunlight catching his hair in a way that brought back vivid memories. For a split second, Emily was lost in the past. This was the boy who used to hold her hand as they strolled through this very park, dreaming about futures they thought would last forever. But now, everything felt different. The innocence was gone, replaced by unspoken questions and heavy silence. "Emily," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "I know it's been a while, but I've needed to talk to you about everything." He hesitated, searching her eyes for a sign, a hint of what she was truly feeling. "Everything?" she echoed, trying to keep her tone light even though her heart felt like lead. "Like how you just disappeared one day?" His face fell, the shadow of regret passing over him. "I didn't want to hurt you, but I think I did anyway." "Yeah, you did." Each word felt like it weighed a ton, bursting out of her. She didn't want to blame him, but the hurt was raw, like a wound that had never completely healed. "I found it hard to stay. Things at home were complicated. I thought it was for the best." Emily bristled at his reasoning. "Complicated? And leaving was the solution? You didn't even give me a chance to understand. You just left." Tim looked down, shame evident in his posture. "You're right. I messed up. I thought moving on would be easier if I cut ties completely." It took everything in her not to let the bitterness wash over her, but seeing him here now, something melted away inside her. She sighed, softening her stance just a bit. "So, now that you're back, what do you want?" "Just to explain." "I want to explain and apologize, but I also have questions. I've kept up with you. I wanted to be part of your life. I hoped maybe we could have a conversation and start from somewhere." His gaze was steady, a blend of hope and uncertainty swirling in his eyes. Emily's heart twisted. She missed talking to him, sharing private jokes and late-night conversations. But could she open that door again? "I've moved on, Tim. I have a life here now. Jake and Lily, they mean everything to me. I respect that. I do." Tim's voice was steady, but she could see the hurt flicker across his face. "But when I heard about you, I knew I couldn't keep pretending I didn't care. And I'm not here to disrupt your life, I just needed to see you. See if there was still something here. Something worth fighting for." The weight of his words bore down on her. Deep inside, she felt a thread of connection still lingering, a remnant of their past life together. But how could they just slip back into what used to be? "Tim," Emily started, but the words got caught in her throat. Everything felt tangled: old love, new love, the responsibility of motherhood, and the haunting what-ifs of her decision. The moment hung heavy between them as her brain churned with possibilities. What if they could find closure? Or what if they both sought something more? Just then, a flock of birds flew overhead, disrupting the moment. The sound of their wings took Emily by surprise, snapping her back to reality. "I came here looking for clarity, Tim. Maybe I didn't need you here to find it," she said, her heart racing with uncertainty. "What if clarity isn't what you really need?" Tim challenged, his expression shifting back to something earnest and soft. As she looked at him, the gravity of their unfinished story pressed closer, threatening to pull her in. Can hearts truly heal and open again? Emily took a breath, the silence closing in around them. Could she really face the unknown ahead? The conversation had started, but where would it end? Emily felt the weight of Tim's gaze penetrating her resolve. They had cherished moments tangled in laughter and dreams that felt like a bittersweet memory now. But each heartbeat reminded her of where she stood today, firm, unyielding, a mother wrapped in love and hope for a new beginning with Jake and Lily. "Look, Tim," she said, steadying her voice, "I understand what you're saying, but I've had to fight to build a life I love. I want to believe that people can change, but I need to protect what I have now." Tim's expression shifted from nostalgia to something deeper, understanding mixed with regret. "I didn't come here to threaten that. I just wanted to apologize. And maybe, just maybe, to explore if there's a way to be part of your life again. I miss you." The familiar tug of emotion shocked her. It wasn't easy to dismiss the feelings that had once engulfed her. "You can't just show up, say you're sorry, and expect things to be the same," she replied, her heart racing. "I need more than sorrowful words, I need action." "I get it, Emily." Tim pushed himself up from the bench, his posture straightening as he prepared to confront the reality of this moment. "I know I acted selfishly. I should have communicated better. I want to show you that I've grown, that I can be a part of your life in a healthy way. By coming here without warning." She shot back, a fire igniting her resolve. "You are stirring up things I've worked hard to push aside. Do you understand how confusing this is for me?" "I see that now," he admitted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "But can't we at least talk it through? I want to understand your life now and maybe figure out my place in it. We had something special. Did we?" The words slipped from her lips, charged with emotion. "Or is that nostalgia speaking? Because, to me, it feels like shadows are eclipsing who we used to be. If I'm being honest, I can't dive back into what was without risking everything I've built after all this time." Tim's eyes dropped, reflecting the turmoil they were in. "You've built a family, and I'm grateful for that. I didn't come here to disrupt it. But seeing you again and feeling all this, I'm just wondering if we can reconnect or if I'm just fooling myself." A knot twisted tightly in Emily's stomach. Memories and feelings raced through her mind, pushing against the walls she had built. Jake. Lily. The little lives that filled her days with purpose and love. "I can't keep dancing with the past and pretending it won't pull me in," she whispered, her heart breaking just a little. "Then let us create some boundaries. Let us take this slow. No expectations. Just coffee or chats, whatever you can handle. I'm not trying to impose on your life. I just want a chance to learn how you've changed and maybe I don't know, maybe just be in your orbit again, even if it's only as friends." Emily considered his words, the notion of drinks over conversations laced with caution. "You weren't there when I made choices to build a family. You don't know the sleepless nights or the small victories that mold me." "I realize that," he softly replied. "And I respect your choices. But I want to understand, to reconnect, not as lovers but as friends who have shared a past. What do you say?" Looking at Tim, she saw fragments of who they were but also who they could never be again. But friendship? That felt less threatening. "I'll think about it," she finally said, the words tentative but necessary. "It'll take time." A flicker of hope shone in Tim's eyes, but Emily's heart was heavy with caution. "Thank you," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "I appreciate it. I just hope you can see that I have changed." With uncertainty still hanging in the air, she couldn't help but think about Jake and Lily waiting for her. What would they think about this conversation? How could she explain the complexity of feelings swirling in her heart? As she turned to leave, a small part of her wondered if they could be okay. But a louder voice warned her to keep boundaries firm. It would always be easier to build walls than to tear them down. As Emily walked away, she felt the weight of choices and the puzzle of her life shifting. The threads of her past and future were woven into a tapestry she couldn't ignore. Life wasn't about erasing memories, but forging uncharted paths through them. When she finally got home, the door creaked open, revealing the warmth of laughter and love. Lily was in the living room, throwing cushions at Jake, who feigned dramatic defeat before sweeping her up in a fit of giggles. Emily's heart warmed, and suddenly the weight lifted a little more. This was her life, messy but undeniably beautiful. "Mommy!" Lily spotted her and rushed over. "Pancakes. You missed breakfast. But we saved some for you." Jake smiled, his eyes sparkling with warmth as well. "How did it go?" he asked softly, stepping forward, concern etching his brow. With Lily pulling on her hand, Emily felt anchored again, and suddenly, she was determined. "It was complicated. But everything is okay." As they settled down together, laughter echoing off the walls of their home, she realized there was no need to rush. The path ahead would have twists and turns, but as long as they faced it together, she had faith they could navigate it. And as she looked around at the family they had built, she made a silent vow to herself. Old chapters could shape who they were, but they wouldn't define the future. Love, choice, and resilience were hers to nurture, and from this moment on, she would embrace that. The warmth enveloped them, and as they shared stories over pancakes, a smile broke free across her face. Perhaps this was the beginning of a new journey after all. Now that you've followed Emily and her incredible transformation, remember, don't miss the next exclusive stories. Subscribe immediately to the channel to keep receiving these heartwarming tales. Leave a like now, your support feeds the algorithm and spreads the joy. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, we want to hear your thoughts. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of helping the community grow. Don't wait not even one more second.